I'm doing well, Breaky. How are you? Yeah, feels good. Happy to be here.
It's going going great. Actually, going great. Very excited for tomorrow. So let's see what we can discuss, what we can do. Happy to be here.
Doing too many things. Hey, stream, what is up? Now you should be able to hear me on the Twitch stream. All right, I'm new to this. Sorry, guys. A lot of things going on right now. Anyways, you missed my beautiful introduction if you're on the Twitch stream. Welcome. Obviously, you heard both Malakin and Rajix who are also joining us. But yeah, I'm here as well. There was that song. That must have been something. But anyways, there's the three of us. We're gonna just be doing some Q&A, hanging out, and we're actually gonna be watching a game as well. That'll be that we got set up, good to go here shortly. So, actually, speaking of that, let me. Okay, we good. Good luck, have fun. Gonna get this game going, and then something that we can watch while we're also talking and hanging out. So with that said, though, guys, Q&A. Obviously, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them. We are in both the Discord, the Reborn Discord. Go to discord.gg/HoN Reborn if you're not in there for whatever reason, or on the Twitch channel. We'll start kind of gathering questions and going through and seeing what we got throughout. So, but here, you know what I'll do first? Let's go ahead and again, OBT is tomorrow. Open beta. So first things first, let's kind of go through with that. Open beta being tomorrow, it's been quite the journey. Malik, can I start with you? What does it mean knowing that OBT is here and less than 24 hours away, and what do we got ahead of us here? So what do you have to say?
I don't know. You we're 2 years plus in the development of this. Not the first time I've made a game, but every time, kind of as you stated, it's a bit of nerves, but it's also really exciting. It's exciting to see if hundreds of decisions, some very small decisions, some bigger decisions, if you made the right choices. And if people find out, come check it out, enjoy it, play it, watch the player base grow. That's what you hope. Doesn't always happen. I can attest to that. So can literally tens of thousands of other game developers, considering the failure rate of games in terms of their ability to keep operating. But I think it's the swing of the bat that is so fun, and it's essentially seeing how it goes. So it's all about trajectory for me. I would say for us. Get an initial base of players and see what happens from there. So it's just fun to generate that data and track.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm glad to kind of just piggyback off that a little bit. And something we have stressed so much throughout this whole process is actually, let's go back to the game here. It's obviously loading in. Is that this is another kind of beginning in a sense with open beta. Obviously, there is still work to be done and still improvements to happen and take place. But the continued journey is what we're certainly looking forward to. And obviously, the game itself, though, in a spot where very happy with it, people able to play the game, enjoy the game, and looking forward to seeing many more faces, many more new faces in tomorrow, especially when it comes to the game as well. So, Rajix, with this OBT, we have a big patch coming in. As well, specifically on design side, it's our biggest patch to date. I think it's fair to say, right? Especially when it comes to balance. So, what does that mean for you, man? It's a labor of love of sorts. Knowing that all these changes coming in.
Yes, indeed. We have been working on this patch for a while, to be honest. A lot of changes and returning hero, which is a very exciting one. People know engineer. It's kind of the old engineer with the like the carry engineer with the turret. We have fundamental changes to how Ophelia's Pact works. Um, as people know, now we have ravens in HoN, and now Ophelia's Pact works with ravens. You have a lot of new items to diversify the playstyle of certain roles, or mainly all roles. We have a lot of stuff, so we've had very good feedback on them. So hopefully tomorrow people can come in and try all of them and give us even more feedback. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's a ton to go over, and we'll definitely start. We'll kind of give it a chance to break down a little bit more and talk about some of the changes. Obviously, we see already in this game that we happen to be watching and set up to be played. We do have Engineer, and for those that may be checking out HoN Reborn even for the first time, Engineer actually just put in currently close to 90 heroes in the game from original Heroes of New Earth. Obviously, there's upwards of 140 or so in original HoN, so there's still plenty that aren't in the game yet, but over time, as we've talked about, we definitely plan to introduce and have more join the party, as well as even new heroes we have talked about before that have we never seen and will be new to HoN Reborn. But Engineer kind of the beginning of that when it comes to incorporating more heroes. Let us know which heroes you would want to see in HoN Reborn that aren't in yet in the chat for sure. But what I want to do first is to address, bit of an elephant in the room. Obviously, the OBT coming out tomorrow. There have been server issues, a simple way to put it, in terms of these last couple of days, especially as we have been doing a lot of prep for open beta. And, of course, this big patch coming in. We are very aware, as we've been making the point of, our team is very aware of said issues, specifically loading into matches, the waiting for players message popping up, and then eventually kind of cycling, re-queuing you after it fails, and then getting caught in this cycle. That's, some people are having it, others are able to find games, but ultimately it is definitely an issue that we want to, of course, get resolved by OBT tomorrow. As we made the announcements on, our team is very aware of the issues. They've even believed they found at least a bit of a culprit for causing the issue and are working on fixes even as we speak, and we continue to move on here. So when it comes to the stability and the server issues there, absolutely doing what we can to make sure that it's fixed, not only potentially even later tonight, if not, of course, by OBT tomorrow. But Malikan, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, not necessarily a fun thing to talk about, is it? Not a problem we expected to have. But such things happen. The game has been engineered from the ground up. It has a lot of look and similar feel, as it should, which is intentional to Legacy HoN. But when these things happen and you're prepping to have thousands of active game servers online, you're talking about millions of lines of code, unavoidable. I'd like to say that even in the advent of AI and assistants that can help troubleshoot things, sometimes it feels like you're searching for a ghost. But we have good leads, and I'm confident that we'll have it resolved before open beta.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just to get that out there, I know again people continue to bring up concern about that, but as you can see here, obviously games are also still being played, and I'm looking forward to seeing many, many more into tomorrow and so on. All right, obviously a lot of questions coming in, so bear with us here as we start to evaluate all the questions coming in here and kind of combing through, as there are many. I think another big one that certainly we want to touch on is, and it's been a popular topic, of course, especially this latest patch, as we expected, the removal of Concede vote. So for those that may not know, Concede vote has officially been removed from HoN Reborn for the time being here. So unable to concede, meaning got to play out the match. Obviously. A hot topics decision. You want to? Okay, so I'll open up the floor, Radish or Mark. You want to take it as far as why that took place and what the goal is there.
You want me to go first, Raj?
yeah, go for it.
No, okay. HoN Reborn is definitely different than HoN, and one of the things that I would say is a significant improvement is the fact that it's less snowbally. So what that means is there is a lot of capability to come back in matches, and we want the players to focus on playing the game, and they will learn through over time that there are good comeback mechanics, and that almost no match is ever completely lost until your throne is gone. So play out the game, focus on playing the game, try to have a good time. Don't use it as ammunition for teammates to bicker and argue amongst each other about whether they should or shouldn't concede. And by removing what I would consider that distraction, I think that in and of itself bolsters the comeback mechanics, because you just should just play the game. I know there's some people asking some questions about self-moderation expectation and the tools that we've put in place, and one of the, controversially, we are removing concede vote, and controversially, we have added the ability to kick players. So obviously, we hope everybody plays nice, but in the instance that somebody's going to troll the game because they're unhappy that they can't get out of it, then the community at large can punish those types of players by removing them from the game and essentially giving penalty to that player in their behavior score. I know you have some similar opinions, Raj, of just play the game out.
Yeah, I think you've covered most of the reasons pretty well, to be honest. And just the fact, or just the idea that having the CC available just let some people that had a bad start completely give up and just be like, okay guys, let's CC on 15. While with the mechanics that we've added and with the changes that we added to the economy, it's much easier for you to not just lose the game if you lose the lane. So we want people to explore that that part of our renovated economy. So just try it. A lot of games don't have the concede, and people just try and try to play the game and come back. And if you don't, that's fine. But the whole point of the game is to try to have fun. Obviously, you want to win some MR, of course, but in the end, you're trying to play, you're trying to have fun, you're trying to improve and get better with your skills. So CCing is just a lazy way out, I would say. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. I think again covers it very well. That's the mentality going into it, and again, like I said, I knew it was going to be hot, especially for those that HoN in the past. Obviously, Concede vote has been a part of the history there. That the mentality of getting out of that mindset may take some time, but we do encourage and hope it's not a deterrent to be like, I just don't want to experience this because it no longer exists, and also understand that it's also an ever-evolving process, as I keep going back to, as far as we're gonna continue to evaluate everything that's taking place here, but. Obviously, very confident, in fact, that removing the concede vote will be for the better as far as the games go moving forward, and with HoN Reborn. So there you go. There. How's this game going, by the way? Team looking pretty good. Been seeing some emotes popping up. Always fun to see that. Obviously, new emote shop, which we'll actually show off here in a little bit. Can't do it as a spectator, but we'll go through that. But of course, with the addition of Plinko coming in. Even avatars. In fact, actually, that's what I want to point out. This guy right here, Migan, playing the Myrmidon. He loves this Myrmidon. And no surprise to see him running the Mephisto Myrmidon he happened to get from his Plinko drop right there. So, what we also saw, and again, we can, obviously people will experience this as well, but we saw you can switch your avatar as the game is starting. So up until, if I'm not mistaken, it's up until the 0-minute mark, basically, when the horn blows, right? You can actually swap your avatar around live in the game. To choose between. Is that correct?
Yeah, we actually have not defined all the rules about what doing cosmetic customization while the game is going, but it is one of the things that we're excited about. The fact that you you don't have to worry about missing the opportunity to swap your cosmetics, whether it be your announcer pack, your courier, ward skins, teleport effects, alt avatars, all of these things. Because of the upgrades to the technology underneath the game, that's actually a possibility.
Still searching for my Pimp Slayer, so I can do that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that a little bit later.
That'll be,
maybe
that'll
you'll get it on stream.
Trust me, well, that would be something. But yeah, hashtag rigged will definitely come out if that does happen. Well,
you did drop a lot yesterday,
dropped a lot
and you didn't get it.
Plinko tokens, yeah. So yeah, I mean, on that topic again, to clarify how that all works. Well, I guess we'll talk about that more later on. But for every single game, you do get Plinko drops. Of course, 2 for a win in Force Calibar and the 1 for a loss there. And mid-war is actually 1 no matter what, but every single game, of course, that encouragement of getting the Plinko drops, chance to get some avatars, and even tickets as well, which then are used to both purchase other cosmetics, such as emotes, couriers, etc., but then also use said emotes as well, which, like I said, we'll kind of go over that here on stream after this match plays out. But going back to the patch, Engineer, again, obviously a hero that beloved by many as far as in Heroes of New Earth and what he brings to the table. But there's definitely been a couple of versions of Engineer. The more recent one, the one that involved mines, so coming from PK, that's one you'd probably want to recognize, of course. But not the one we chose to go with here for HoN Reborn. Instead, bringing the dare I say, even carry Engineer back to the table. His turret definitely a powerful tool for dealing some damage, as we see this kills up the top lane. Alonia, she's gonna be caught. That Myrmidon though, that ulti-form Myrmidon looks sick, man. This Pharaoh's gonna go in here. That's a dead Alonia. But yeah, Rodix, want to give you the chance. Like that's how I'm saying. Give the chance to defend yourself. No. Why do we bring Engineer in the version as he is with the carry turret build, I should say?
There is no like right or wrong, right? Even the latest version of NG could work. It's not about working or not. It's about what we think is more more fun or more right for this current game. The PK1 with the mines does not have fun play patterns, and having mines or having the ability to one-shot someone and not being able to interact with the fact that he can one-shot you, and it was just not a fun idea to have in the game. And we know that the turret NG is very polarizing. Some people really loved it, and some people hated playing against the OP turret, right? But we are confident that that's something we can properly balance with time. Obviously, whenever a hero is launched, you might have some imbalances with the hero, but we are confident that we are able to balance it, and especially with the Reborn economy. Yes, some carries could be like overfarmed, but if you compare them to other players in the game, they are not as ahead as, like, let's say, like the older HoN. So other players in the game will be able to fight the NG because overall they have more tools, and this is part of the items that we released. Like the idea behind the more items is to have more tools in your pocket, let's say, to be able to figure out a solution to whatever problem you are facing.
Mm-hmm. I'm just excited to see Engineer back. I mean, again, his ultimate's obviously pretty iconic when it comes to HoN. Of course, the Flux NG combo, still very, very much a powerful combination. And yeah, I think Engineer was definitely one of the first heroes that, you know, if the heroes that weren't in yet in Reborn, that we'd from the very beginning. We're like, yeah, we need to get this guy in. So, oh, you see right there, actually, Hammerstorm actually hitting the courier. So you can't kill couriers, but if you do hit the courier, it actually gives the whole team, I believe, 100 gold, and then it sends it back to base, right? So that's something that I feel like, yeah.
No, only the person that hits it.
Oh, is it only the person? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But either way, it's still very valuable to do that, of course. Especially it's going to run in your face like that. So.
And you can't get your items delivered if they hadn't been delivered yet, because the courier's forced to go back to base. I'd like to say something on the engineer front.
Sure.
Because I think there is everything Raj said, obviously completely accurate, and makes a lot of good points. But part of the revival of HoN Reborn is to create nostalgia. And while some people may argue that they would get nostalgia from, say, the last iteration of engineer that was in the game, we wanted to go also to try to achieve that nostalgia from 2010, 2011, and all the years that he was in a similar form that he's in Reborn in comparison to what he was in the latest iterations of HoN. And I think that's important. You see, there's a lot of feedback that we receive about the game and how excited they are for the nostalgia. And oh my gosh, I played this game 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I was only 18 years old. We're all getting much older now.
Yeah.
And I think that just bolsters that nostalgia.
Yeah. All right, you're really starting to kind of comb through here and go over some questions that people do have. What I'm noticing, first off, Mojalini's actually asked a couple times now, is there any news on better role enforcement for new players? So new player experience is something that we definitely are, obviously have at least a plan for to implement sooner than later. We completely understand when it comes to being a new player to a game like Heroes of New Earth. It could be a bit overwhelming, understandably. Now, again, a mentality we do, at least I personally live by when it comes to this game, is that ultimately just playing the game is definitely the best way to really learn. The trial by fire, dare I say, is nice kills your bottom lane. But with that said, we still want to have some things in place, such as protection, as you mentioned, has been brought up a popular one. So the possibility, if you're a newer player, you may not be able to be to be kicked for X amount of games, knowing that you are a newer player, and we don't want people like that to just be kicked just because they're new. Also, information. We do have some game plan coming in. We've been doing more and more providing information on like the Discord side especially, but within the game, some things that'll help lead a player into the right area to learn a couple of the early mechanics, how the UI even works, and what is where, within the shop, or how to even play a game, etc. And then things like your role. As well, what the roles mean. So, knowledge is power in many games, and obviously HoN is certainly falls under that bucket as well, big time. So, and then again, there's more. I could keep listing some things, but we definitely have a game plan for new player experience when it comes to getting into the game and not feeling like they're completely weighing others down just because they're a newer player as much.
To speak specifically to the role enforcement, which I completely understand the frustration of that. That was one of the largest considerations in putting the roles in the game in the first place, was the frustration of people arguing and bickering over who called what role first. And then you end up with multiple carries in the game, or multiple people fighting over mid, or whatever the case may be. But as it relates to new players, one of the things that we've discussed, which is probably going to be something that gets implemented, is not only would there be a new player kick protection for people that would last their first X amount of games. It wouldn't be that many games. But in that same vein, in that same time frame, also forcing people to pick from the predefined heroes that are for that role. Mm-hmm. And then after that amount of games, then they have the opportunity to choose any hero in any role, because we don't want to be restrictive overall. Yeah. But for people who are just coming in and maybe not understanding that they at least pick something that is in the realm of acceptable, and not assuming that they can just play whatever role that they want.
Definitely. All right, another question here. Zerocious asking about what about other heroes like Kinesis? Are you using the old reworked versions or other ones? So again, it's every single hero is going to be evaluated, when it comes to in terms of determining it being brought to HoN Reborn and which quote-unquote version to bring. Kinesis specifically, so for those that may not know, as NG gets mauled here at the bottom. And this Hammer Sword, Fragile Snake's pretty farmed right now, but he's got the staff. That's a fun staff. I think he's the Superman basically with Hammer Storm. He's going to try to use it right here to get away. Yeah. Ah, he gets away. Yeah, can't get too far though. Good attempt. Legion too strong though. Anyways, got caught up there. But yeah, Kinesis was actually in the earlier alpha phase of the game. However, unfortunately, there were issues with the hero that were pretty big. Is a simple way to put it. That I decided to put it on hold for now, as far as Kinesis being in HoN Reborn. But yeah, Rodix, I don't know if you want to add more to that, really just heroes in general that we plan to bring in, and what kind of the process is like for determining such factors.
So just as a small add-on for the Kinesis thing, the Kinesis is just a coding nightmare when it comes to his spell stealing ability. You will always constantly find bugs, especially when you keep adding new heroes, because he has very unique interactions with every ability. Not only that, it was causing some engine issues as well. So we decided that for now our priorities are better be put in other places. But eventually we are considering bringing it back. Maybe the older versions with the tornadoes, maybe not. We will see later on. As for other heroes, we do have like a list, a priority list. I think Mark could talk better maybe about the ones that he would like the priority that we have. But basically, the really loved ones from the original HoN, I would say. Like these are the ones that are on our minds.
Way to throw me under the bus on that one there. I don't know about that. Because I'm gonna give you just as soft an answer as you provided, which is that is actually something that is up in the air. There's no definitive roadmap of what should be added next. We do know that there's going to be a nice stream, consistent stream of heroes being brought back to the game. Whether those are new to Reborn or whether those are legacy HoN heroes making their way back. And a lot of it will just come down to the assessment of where things are in the meta and which heroes make the most sense, and gleaning any data points we can about what would be the fan favorites and fan favorites that do fit within the goals of what we're trying to achieve in the game. Then we'll put those in. So we've done a number of surveys. We've gotten some really good information, great participation on the surveys through the alpha and the closed beta. We'll probably continue to do those through open beta and post-release. So look for those as players and know that when you take the time to respond, that all of that information is reviewed. And you probably see some questions about what type of heroes you'd like to see come back.
Absolutely. I will say, definitely ones written in chat have. There's a good chance that some of those may be at the top of the list, dare I say. So, there you go.
Key question for you: are you reading Twitch questions, or are you
honestly,
are you reading out of Discord?
I'm bouncing back and forth a little bit, mainly Twitch to be honest, but I am.
Okay, no, that's.
A little bit too. But yeah, no. Obviously, if you have one that does stand out, feel free to bring it up here. There's another thing about. Do we have plans of I can't scroll up enough to see who asked it, but about a 3 to 5 year like roadmap of sorts, and so we don't necessarily have a So obviously, Mal, if you want to extend on that, but we don't necessarily have a roadmap that far ahead. But what I will continue to address on that is, again, open beta tomorrow. Just the beginning of a lot of ways of just so much more to come with HoN Reborn. It is a live service game. It'll continue to be a live service game. Updates will continue to happen, and more will be added over time. So, and then of course there's then the esports side, the competitive side. With obviously we had the $100,000 tournament announcement recently. More details to come on that, but throughout open beta there will be that $100,000 tournament, and obviously the competitive scene. We certainly want to continue to make a much bigger deal. As time goes on, so as they kind of go hand in hand there, but yeah, just to stress on that point again, a live service game, updates will continue to flow in throughout the process here.
Yeah, I could follow up on this, and as damning as it may or may not be of what I'm going to say, but I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding as it relates to how live service games work and the expectations. We love working on this game. I think I can speak for pretty much everybody on the development team. We want to continue to work on the game, and we plan to continue to work on the game. So the 3 to 5 year roadmap means just constant iterative improvement on all the things that we make. Of course, it will be reliant on a thriving, active community, which we believe all information points to that there will be more than enough people active in playing the game for us to continue to develop this for a long time to come. In fact, in HoN's history and the fact that it shut down 3+ years ago, what's a little sad about that is that it was definitely in a position where it could have continued. But it takes a group of passionate, energetic developers with ideas, and I'll double down on the energy, because that is more so than capital, more so than ideas, is there has to be an energy to continue to make it great. And you're fighting against the mediocrity of it just continuing to be what it is. And that does take risks, and you can see a lot of times when you take risks, you get a lot of pushback. And being the title that it is, being the fact that it's it's on the internet and it's PC gaming, you can see trolls like to come out, but that doesn't deter us from taking those risks. And by taking those risks, great things come. Bringing HoN back in and of itself was a pretty large risk. It's very calculated risks. The changes that we've made to the game that we believe to be are good, and we receive resounding feedback that those changes are good, but those come with risk, because the least amount of risk you can take, I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but this is how most people are, is don't change anything, because then it's familiar, it's consistent. What has been will be, and you can more easily predict the future. Yeah. So I would hope that the roadmap, while I know I didn't give any specifics, it's continuing to make everything about the game better, to expand as many aspects of it as we can. Esports is a huge part. I know you already touched on that, but we wanted to signal that right out of the gate with a open beta $100,000 tournament, which I know in this day and age it doesn't quite live up, but again, we don't know what the future of HoN may hold. The prize, the size of those pools may do nothing but climb in the future. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it's not a 3 to 5 year plan. Hopefully it's a 10 to 15 year plan.
Love it. Another 10 to 15 years. I wouldn't mind that. Let's do it again. Oh, gosh.
That's right.
Oh, baby. All right. Shakalaka. This one's more directed towards Rodix, perhaps, but he's asking about overall about Scanner. The Scanner from Dota 2, a similar mechanic there, which basically, obviously, you can scan air. Obviously, of course, you're familiar with that. And what is he going to say? Is there a possibility of implementing something like this in the game, or they think the Ravens and Wards are giving you enough info already? So, any take on that, Rodix?
I think it's a bit hard to compare the two games, especially lately with Dota having the map grow to be a very big map. And with the current vision mechanics that we have, which is wards, ravens, and we have some heroes that give a lot of vision as well. I don't think we need the scan. Maybe in future patches, if the map changes, the map grows a bit, we put extra objectives, then that could make sense, but probably in some other way. But I'm pretty confident that in the current iteration that we have, we don't need extra information given to players through scans.
All right. Yeah, that's actually a good one here. Just on looking out very recently. I see the rent cosmetics with tickets. For how long? Is it like one game or one day? So currently for renting a cosmetic, like a courier, for example, it should be just for one game is the idea with that. Is that correct, Malakin?
Yeah, that's right. We want to give free-to-play only players the opportunity to interact with all of the different type of customizations that you can do in the game. So one of the ways to do that is a kind of low barrier renting option. And you can get tickets through Plinko drops. Plinko drops are, I guess I shouldn't go too much into this because we can go into far more detail on this when we go to Plinko. But yeah, the rental, you can also use, of course, the paid currency for HoN, which is Jade. There's always a 1-to-1 Jade to tickets, but tickets is the free-to-play currency in the game, and it's important for us that part of the fun of playing games like this, being able to customize your experience, and that opens it up across all of those different customization categories. But currently we only have 3 in the game. Those will be added across time. They're fairly quick to get in, and then of course more content will go in as we operate the game as a live service. That would be avatars, announcer packs, and couriers.
Yeah. There you go. Question regarding server locations. This player, this is Cave Dog, specifically talking about in the South African community. It would be great if we could just a small server to see the numbers are. Playing with 200 MS on the U's not look ideal. What I will stress on that, obviously, we had an influx of regions very recently here. Earlier this last week is the big fight at Phoenix, by the way. Oh, Legion's gonna we'll steal it from them, it looks like. Hellborn's trying to come back in this one. But not to get too distracted here. So yeah, we did have an influx of regions recently to test things out and gather data and insight for what things look. But we ended up keeping Southeast Asia, remove the others for now. Now, others being like, I believe there's Australia, Middle East, there's another one. So there are other regions or South America, definitely another one, will eventually likely be coming back. It's just a matter of the demand, the player population, how active, etc. Because ultimately, we don't want queue times to be affected if obviously certain regions just simply aren't getting enough of the players. The hope, of course, is that all these regions are very necessary in the end, and definitely going to be coming back. As far as South Africa specifically, I can't necessarily speak on, but I think it falls maybe under that same logic, to be fair, as well, right? So, but yeah, if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, I think you said it well. I don't know if there's much. It's simply it's just math, and how many players and how many regions. We would like every player who loads up HoN Reborn, enters a queue, and goes into a match to be able to have the lowest possible latency that they can, and we'll do everything that we can to support that. It'll always just be a numbers game, and it's not even. It's not even about the dollar cost of having servers online whatsoever, because that's fairly minimal in the overall scheme of things. It is about putting a server online or adding another matchmaking region, having people select it under the expectation that they should be able to be in a match in some reasonable amount of time. But at the providing service level, if we know that not to be true, it just doesn't make sense for us to provide it.
Yeah.
So we will constantly be under review of that, and we will always aim to provide the best experience that we can. Speaking of that, it's a good point to talk more about the technology that HoN Reborn is built on, and the fact that our servers are 4 to 5 times more responsive than the legacy Heroes of Newerth server code, and that makes a huge difference. That essentially means that for every processing frame of legacy HoN Reborn sends 4 to 5 times the number of updates to the client. This significantly reduces the feel of latency, even if latency being defined as the amount of time it takes for a packet of information to travel from your computer across network to the game server.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that that game server is now processing that information 4 to 5 times faster, and that makes a huge difference.
So kind of a little bit more on the tech side, sticking on the tech side there, the Emotes and a couple others have actually been asking about this. The frame rate completely tanks once it gets hectic, according to him. Obviously, well, I'll continue. Not a normal way it tanks, but actually slows the game down to a crawl, proving to be a frustrating experience. So to be clear on that, it's one of those things that I will say over the process here, within alpha into closed beta, there has been a lot of work to be done when it comes to things like the frame rate, as well as optimization of the game there. And it certainly has been noticeable for those that have been around. Hopefully, certainly could vouch for that. Is there still improvements that need to be made? Certainly, I will say, it's just one of these things. Though it's like it is kind of from player to player as far as what they're personally experiencing. It could prove to be difficult to diagnose specifically from player to player that are maybe having said issues. Not to say that it isn't a bigger issue, because it certainly is something that we obviously are taking seriously, and want to make sure everyone has appropriate frame rate for the game. The optimization is good for everyone, but it's something that as I will say is certainly still on the list to diagnose, figure out, and ultimately help fix as best as can for the overall player base to be able to make sure that they're experiencing there.
I won't go into too techie because I just don't think it's relevant. The biggest bottleneck for you can experience slower frame rates one of two ways. It can be the local client or it can be the server. When you attempt to push servers to the FPS that we are currently operating, sometimes new information is going to come up that we do log that's going to show that the server is having trouble processing that amount of information in that short of a frame time, and that can cause slowdowns. We will identify those, we will squash those. They will come out in what can actually be server-side only patches. That will be a constant improvement that will happen over time. The other is, of course, on the client side. The number one bottleneck is the CPU. Believe it or not, it's not GPU. There's nothing really graphically intensive happening in Heroes of Newerth. It could be, but in most instances it's not. It is CPU, and that is something that we're always aware of and want to improve and make better. People who generally experience, you can have a 5090 in your machine, but if you have a slower GPU, you're going to experience lower frame rates than somebody who has an integrated Intel video card, but you have a latest generation CPU, just as an FYI. But what same message, maybe gonna hear this a lot throughout the next few years. It's always about iterative improvement and making things better, and that's just time and effort, and we're willing to put in the effort, and time simply has to pass for us to get to all these things.
Yeah, and messing with some video setting, I know it's a easy thing to say as well, but I've actually shown my personal graphic settings to people that have maybe claimed that they were having some issues and said at least similar, if not the same, and it's better now. So definitely recommend that as well. Trying that out if haven't yet. Probably have, but just put that out there. Definitely a lot more questions.
What can I do for you?
You poked through those questions. I'm going to answer a question real quick that I happen to see. That's related to the Genesis rewards.
Sure.
Yes, the plan is that sometime today or tomorrow, those rewards will be available and seen in people's accounts. So those people who have Freak Show Devour, Freak Show Puppet Master, and Honey Badger Courier, you will have those in your inventory. The account icons, we've not set that product up yet in the client itself. So those will not be distributed just yet.
Yeah. There you go. I got the Pimp Slayer and Plinko. I already hate you. But it doesn't show up in my avatars. Is this a known bug? Will it get added later? If you did you actually win the Pimp Slayer? But it should be showing in avatars. And if it's not, it's something that we'll obviously look into. Others that have gotten it, though, it has been showing up in their inventory, though, I believe, or their way to select their avatar. So, but we'll definitely have to confirm that, of course. We'll do a couple drops here while we're talking about this. So, yeah, I guess on this topic, this Blink board, if you haven't seen it yet, wait, that was actually really close to almost getting Pimp Slayer. Got Rebirth Jerizaiah. So, after every game, you get 2 Plinko drops for a win, 1 Plinko drop for a loss for Skadavar, and then mid-wars, it's just 1 no matter what. You can come here, and then, of course, you use those drops, and then depending on what you get either tickets or potentially one of these avatars here. Now, on the note of avatars, so I'm sure a popular question could be, can I get duplicate of the same? Now, the answer is yes. You can actually get duplicate of the same avatar. You can get multiple of the same avatar. But the thing with that, though, is, and Malik can obviously expand on this too, is we do have the Juvio Marketplace that'll be coming, where the excess avatars, or just any avatar, frankly, that you would want to put up on the marketplace to then sell, and somebody else can purchase it from you and make that exchange happen. So the reason you're able to get duplicate is essentially for that purpose there, right?
Yeah, this is another, I would say, risk-taking. We were very familiar from our previous operations of HoN, of how we could monetize the game. Which I like to say is obviously there's a run rate for us operating this game, and we have to pay developers, and we have to pay for infrastructure, and you have got fixed costs, all these things that most gamers just don't think about, they don't care about, they have a general understanding of it. Monetizing the game for us is essentially we want to pass that to our player base so we can continue to do what we love. Obviously, we would like to get a return on the investment of what we did. I know I'm talking about things, but it seems lots of people have this stuff on their mind, because I see this come up in conversations all the time. So I actually like to talk about it. But that is legitimately the #1 goal. We want to continue to make HoN. It is so fun to work on this project. It's fun to watch people consume the content that you work hard to create. It's fun to see if, again, making the decisions that you make, if you're making the right ones. So here's another one of those, as I was talking about before, taking a risk. And that risk is that a majority of all the avatars we do not want to sell directly to users. We also don't want to create just some chance game where you have to dump money into essentially a slot machine and hope that you get the thing that you want. By doing the things that we want you to do, so to speak, or just part of enjoying the game, logging in, playing the game, playing it with friends, filling up your friends list, these types of things will reward you Plinko drops. And I would like to point out that that is assuming that everyone's behaving themselves, because if your behavior score, if you obtain too many penalty points, then you lose rewards, and that's important to know, because that might be one of the important aspects that will help keep people behaving in our self-moderated community. But I don't want to go too far off on a tangent. Let me come back to the avatars. So how we want avatars to be distributed in the game is through playing the game. By playing the game, you can play Plinko, and Plinko is very fun. We're very confident of that. There's been many experiences where we're just sitting there dropping, and there are people just watching people play Plinko because the game is fun. Then you have the opportunity to win avatars, and you can then use those avatars if you want. Obviously, have them on your account, play the game, switch to the avatar, or you could post it on the marketplace. Somebody else could purchase that. You can use the proceeds from selling that to purchase a different avatar, maybe for a hero or a specific avatar that you want, or you can take the money from selling the avatar and send it to your bank account or PayPal. Obviously, Heroes of New Earth takes a small cut of the sale of that avatar. That's what we expect to drive a lot of the monetization in the game. But it directly involves the player base. I think it's very healthy for the players. I think it's going to cause a lot of general excitement and people wanting to invest a lot of time playing the game so that they have the opportunity to win those rewards.
It's a nice cycle of the playing experience, and certainly benefiting from playing, and obviously just MMR as itself, but the cosmetics and everything that help make the game just extra fun. I think it's gonna be great. I really do. So. I was kind of showing off here. So this is actually one of the avatars that you could win in Plinko. This is Xeno Predator, I believe. Definitely a cool one that we got. So as I'm showcasing here, again, if you were to be in a game, at the very beginning there's this shop at the bottom. You click on it, and again, work to be done, improvements to come. But right now, essentially, it'll have the default selected, but then I can select Xeno Predator, and on the fly, as you see, swaps on over, and good to go right there. So. Yep, for those that have maybe won some rewards in Plinko, just to clarify, that's how you go about swapping it within the game. Then there's the emotes. So I guess, while I'm here talking about this, there's the emotes tab as well from the shop that you can see, of course. Now, everyone has a default wheel, the 2 default wheels, that is. You hold down F or V, and then it showcases the 6 on each. That are unlocked from the beginning right there. But to clarify on that too, so there is the ticket cost to each one. So when you go to use, say, the slot machine, one right here, drop it on the ground, it does take the 5 HoN tickets to cast it right there. And of course, you have your inventory of HoN tickets. Which again, though, it's the cycle. You play a game, you play Plinko with the drops. You either get avatars, or majority of the time you're going to get tickets. You then use those tickets to cast emotes and shouts, etc. within the game, as well as unlock other roasts, gestures, shouts, and even cheers that are to come. So just that whole revolving cycle of the HoN tickets and everything else. So anything to add to that?
No, I think I'm good. Right now, though, the only way in the game to access this is through in-game. You can go into practice, as you're seeing Breaky do. Mm-hmm. You click on the cart icon over there, and then you can access this. We are working on 2 other versions of this. One is your cosmetic customization inside the game lobby. That will be accessible after you select a hero. And then you can, again, shop, look around, equip what you want. And then there will be a version outside of even the lobby, which will just be available on the main interface. We will also expect to have this on the web as well, using a browser. But those last 2 will be coming much further down the road. Hopefully, air quotes soon, we'll have the one that's in lobby as well.
Navi wants me to show the Pimp Slayer avatar. I know he's saying that. he may have won it yesterday, and I still don't have it, so I can't actually show it. Oh, yeah, let me actually do what you're saying there. Let me stream in the Discord as well. Here's hope for those
So
that are here.
something else that maybe people will notice is there's a change board up at the top, and there will be multiple boards. I would assume after we've been operating for a while that there's going to be quite a few active boards that people can choose to drop their Plinko drops on. It's also important, and I just want to make sure that everybody fully understood this, that there currently is no way to purchase drops. Very intentional. We did it this way. You have to play the game in order to get drops. You can't just spend money to get drops. And that's because these avatars are expected to have real world value, and that you can withdraw the money from the platform, which I think is an important distinction and is quite unique to us. So can't put money in just to drop, just to try to get something of value to extract. So play the game, behave properly, don't get avoided, don't get kicked, earn lots of drops, get some avatars.
Just have fun, man. That's
Yep.
what we're ultimately going for. It really is. Absolutely, it's a passion project in a lot of ways for so many of us. So, want to just have fun in the end with it. We want to enjoy it with you all. Definitely looking forward to tomorrow. That being another big step in that, of course. So, definitely some more questions. I don't know how long we're necessarily planning to go. Right in about the hour mark here, but obviously you can keep it going for now. There another popular one is about tomorrow, the stat and MMR reset. So from my understanding, we potentially are going to be doing a MMR squish, and what that means. So it won't be like a full on MMR reset where everyone's 1500 again. It'll be instead, if you were a certain bracket of MMR, you'll then be condensed to X number. Again, I don't know the exact numbers, what they're actually going to be, but like, so say if you're like 1800 to 2000 plus or whatever, you'll go down to 1800, and then if you're 1600 to 1799, you'll go down to 1600, and so on. So there will be a squish in that sense that'll be taking place likely, but not a full-on reset that'll happen. So to clarify on that, I don't know if the Rajix had anything to add on that, or Malikan as well, but
No, it's basically to level the fields a bit. Obviously, matchmaking is not completely balanced at the moment, and even before that, some people were, I don't want to use the word abuse, but like duo queuing when they are like really good at the game, and they were just getting like extremely high MMRs. So we want to reset a bit and have people kind of recalibrate, let's say. And hopefully with a bigger player pool, we will have a much better matchmaking quality. And yeah.
Henke is
I,
asking,
uh,
what if you're 3000 MMR? What happens?
You'll go to the highest cap that we set for the squish.
He's just showing off there. Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I'm just reading through the Twitch questions here. Somebody asked about the kick abuse potential of a group of 4 kicking a solo on their team. It's important to know that there's what we call the kick matrix. That person would require votes from the enemy, from the opposing team, in order for that kick to be successful. So we like I said, it's not a scapegoat for answering these types of questions. It is a legit how we approach things. We don't aim for perfection in the things that we do. Don't anybody troll and say that's obvious. but because perfection is the antithesis of progress, we aim for progress and we aim for quick iteration. You got to get something out there. You got to get data on it. You got to assess that data, and then you got to continue to make improvements to it. So the kick system is out. We've made a few changes to it to improve it, and we will continue to do so. One of the things that is in place is the kick matrix, not allowing a group of 4 to kick a solo player just because they want to troll them or whatever the case may be. It will require opposing team, and we'll continue to assess this. We analyze kick data multiple times a day. I specifically analyze, and we as a team do, but I specifically do analyze kick data multiple times a day, and we pay close attention to who is getting kicked and what situations they're getting kicked for. I would never state that it's perfect or that there aren't some issues of abuse. The point being, it's being assessed, and further improvements will continue to be made to it.
Yeah. And I will also just add a little bit more to that too. I will say we are very aware of people getting flat out undeserved penalty points recently because of server issues, as we've already discussed earlier in the stream right here. And we do have plans to potentially address that. So for those that have that concern, that maybe feel like they haven't justly got the penalty points, etc., we're going to be addressing that as well in the near future. So there's a pretty popular spammed question here about Duo Q 1800 plus. So for those that may not know, because it's definitely the majority is under 1800, like myself. But for those that are 1800 plus, it has been restricted to solo queue for 1800 plus for a little bit of time now, a couple of months at least, 2-3 months. Now that was always a temporary fix, a band-aid fix, etc. The plan was eventually to go back to just opening that up again, but of course, with the player base throughout the closed beta, it was a decision that just had to be made for the sake of allowing for a decent flow within matchmaking. But with the influx of players coming in starting tomorrow, that we all hope and expect, of course. Again, I don't know if there's an exact number that we're looking to hit, but I wouldn't be surprised if that such a restriction is lifted in the near future, sooner than later.
In some form or fashion. I want to respond to Jolini asking, forgive me if I butchered your name. We do have plans. We're actually waiting on a WhatsApp validation so that we can reach hopefully every corner of the globe as it relates to phone verification. That was a step that has been planned to have in order to play ranked matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
It is partially implemented now, but it has been since retracted because there are too many people who are unable to receive the SMS. So once we have that WhatsApp validation, business validation on WhatsApp is not easy. I suppose that's a good thing. And once we have that, then we will work to have that in place.
I came from.
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to mention something, Brady, because we didn't talk about the NDA lifting tomorrow, which probably seems obvious, I suppose.
That's true. Yeah.
But that the client that we did patch into the client yesterday, the ability to set /DND as well as /streaming. Another one of those risky things that I was speaking about earlier, making those risky decisions, is the self-moderation. Speaking to that point, we don't think it's upon us to determine what does or doesn't offend everybody. There's too many people with too many opinions on what they find offensive. We can let the player base do that for themselves, both as a group and as individuals. So you can mute, block, and avoid players. And obviously, if people are misbehaving or taking things too far in their verbal or written communication, you can kick them from the server and then block them, and you'll never see anything that person has to type again, and you can add them to your void list, and you'll never have to play with them again. I mean, what is better than that, than submitting a report into the abyss of something that may or may not be GM'd, and then may or may not be GM'd properly, or may not be GM'd in a way that you deem sufficient. Just take care of it yourself. That being said, obviously that can open up some things for streamers because not every platform maintains that thought process that we have, and they do strong arm their moderation, and I shall say shame on them for doing so. And in doing so, that allows our players to set themselves as do not disturb or streaming, so that they can't be targeted and cause problems with their stream.
Yeah.
So
No,
Share that information if you will, if for anybody who's is going to stream, or if you yourself are going to stream, /DND or /streaming. Sorry, Berkey, go ahead.
No, you're good. It just goes back to, we're just doing our part to provide the tools. And it goes back to our code of conduct and our self-moderation policy. And that's, just more tools as possible to make sure you're feeling comfortable and able to enjoy the environment that you're playing in. So it's a good addition there. What do they do exactly? It has to do with basically a block whisper messages from coming in when it's activated, as well as even notifications, if I'm not mistaken. I think the streaming one is even a bit more aggressive with that, as far as just essentially almost blocking everything from taking place, notifications, messages, etc. So there's a couple of questions that I wanted to. What was it? This one maybe Roger can answer, but come from Dota 2. I'm curious. Welcome, by the way. I'm curious about the aggro mechanic. The question is, can I dive people at the tower and not get aggro behind creeps? Yes, right? Like, as long as you don't aggressively attack the enemy, that should be possible, right?
I don't understand the part with behind creeps, but under towers, whatever damage you do, it will draw tower aggro, except whatever is labeled as dot. So if you're dealing like dot damage, that will not aggro the tower. Anything else will aggro the tower.
Okay.
And the creeps as well.
Is there a limit on the avoid system? Oh yeah, I want to bring that. It's right now I believe it's at 4, if I'm not mistaken. For
It's
avoid players.
3.
Is it 3? Okay,
it's
so
3.
it's a 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it causes fairly significant stress on the matchmaker, for what it's worth, when people assess what that means and why it's set at 3. Especially if I bring up the point that yes, there will be an opportunity to expand that, and yes, it will cost money. But it is very taxing on the matchmaker. For every additional avoid you give people, if every single person has that, it is a non-linear increase in the cycle time of the matchmaker, and it will cause problems. And to troll ourselves, we seem to be doing a good enough job of having issues with our matchmaker on our own. So
don't need more. Yeah, it's to be clear on what the avoid, it makes it so they can't be queued up on your team. Now they could still be in the game, just on the opposing team. So yeah, you have the 3, use them wisely, of course, but that'll prevent them from queuing up into your team once again. Will matches be more fair starting tomorrow? So individual disparity, MMR disparity, is something that it's continuing to. I don't know if tomorrow it's necessarily going to be implemented in full just yet, but as a lot of this comes back to the increase in player base, evaluating the data, etc., as long as it doesn't negatively affect the queue times too much, starting to include more of the individual MMR disparity is certainly part of the game plan there. What we mean by that, because right now, you're as like a 1,500 player, you can get matched up with 1,900, 2,000 plus players. Ideally, in the future, it is more within your range. Like if you're 1,500, more matched up, 16, maybe the 1,700 range, but that would kind of be the maximum, right? So yes, we do have the intention of that eventually being in place, but because of, like I said, the player base currently, that necessarily hasn't been in play just yet. Heard are going to DreamHack. We are. Announced that recently. I heard you might be at DreamHack too, Super KGE. What a coincidence. That'll be fun. Oh, yeah, we're obviously excited for that, but that's later in the month. Full focus right now is, of course, absolutely on tomorrow and the coming weeks. With
somebody's making a point about their penalty points.
Yep.
There is also going to be a penalty point adjustment done, similar to what we did about 3 weeks ago. So we will not remove them entirely, but we will be making adjustments to them, pushing them down.
Mm-hmm.
Another squish.
Yep. Is it possible to convince you to slow down the pace of the game? I mean, Rajix? What do you got on that?
Slow down the pace of a game.
Essentially meaning less experience per
Experience and
minute,
goals,
goal
yeah,
per
slowing
minute.
all
Yep.
that down, yeah. Which we've already done a decent amount.
Yeah. So if you compare our game to, let's say, LoL or Dota, we are kind of similar to, or we are kind of in between, let's say. I believe what we have is uh, extremely, or what we hope to have is a very fun game that you want to keep playing over and over, and we don't want games to, on average, be extremely long. We want you to go in, have fun, rinse and repeat. Would we want to maybe slow down the average by a few minutes? Maybe. Uh, that's obviously up to what the data tells us, how the tournaments go, what data we get from the from the games and matchmaking, obviously. But it is kind of early to tell. We don't have we obviously have data, but with the influx of a lot of new players, we will have a bigger set of data to actually understand how our meta is feeling right now. Are the players not having fun? But with the feedback we're having right now, to be honest, it is positive. So for now, I doubt we will change anything when it comes to the economy, but it is obviously up for change in the future.
One of the biggest things, one of the biggest aspects of playing the game that we assessed was the flow, not only of experience and gold, but also the pacing of the game. And too much constant, consistent fighting causes too much adrenaline and cortisol, constantly under pressure, constant fight or flight going on. There's no breaks in between. We've made a number of adjustments through the alpha and closed beta. We've received almost unanimous positive feedback, almost, on where it currently resides. That would include people who were quite frustrated previously that it was too fast. Obviously, we can't please everybody, but this is a very intentional choice. And one of the things that lies at the heart of this decision is that all 5 players in the game should feel as though they progress at a fast enough rate through the entire match. That's one of the cornerstones of playing a MOBA, is that you start out weak, you have your specific performance in a game, and as that game progresses, you want to feel as though you get stronger. It's very difficult to try to get all 10 players in a match to feel that. But the closest you can get, where everybody in almost every match walks away and says, I felt as though I had an impact on that and that I did progress as the match went on, is important. And that is a very delicate balance as it relates to experience per minute and gold per minute. Everything is always up for change, but we're pleased with where it sits right now.
This is this is just a random matchmaking game that I just jumped into, just to get more footage on the screen. So for those asking, this is happening live right now. And again, I understand why that's being asked, because again, to clarify on all this, games are being played. There are stable servers and people are able to play the game. It's just not nearly where it needs to be, and we know that. We're owning up to it. We obviously are stating that we are doing what we can to make sure it is ready for tomorrow, because there are more than an unacceptable amount of players that are having issues getting into games when it comes to matchmaking and the waiting for player, etc. So like I said in the announcement, we do have a decent idea as far as potentially what the cause is. It's just a matter of ultimately getting the fix in and ready to go. So, which again, hope to have later tonight, if not by OBT tomorrow. So once again, to clarify all that. Paraguay Potato has asked us a couple times, and it's kind of on that point. So a lot of friends of mine want to play tomorrow, but not having South American, Brazilian servers is going to be a problem for us. Will we have such servers in this beta? like I said, that was a region. Obviously, we did have Brazil / South America. If I'm not mistaken, there's a pretty good chance that it'll be back tomorrow, if not very soon, within the open beta phase. But it all goes back to that evaluation, determining the player base and what makes the most sense in the big picture there. So wait and see for sure tomorrow, but we'll see.
Yeah, it is important to note, and I know this is far more difficult, but we do have servers in many of these regions right now.
Yeah.
We just don't have the matchmaking region turned on and available for all the reasons that we had previously stated. So that being said, you can host a private lobby or a public lobby. You can host a custom game or whatever on those servers. Obviously, it's difficult to get it full, but maybe that'll allow you guys to try to fill it up and have that better ping. Hopefully, though, Brazil and South America does have a fairly large population as a percentage of the accounts in the game right now. So I would suspect that region will make its way on at some point in the near future.
Can US East be moved to US Central? Likely not, but US West is on that list. It falls under the same boat there with South America, Middle East, Australia, etc. Player base and the data suggests that we absolutely, and to that point, the US West servers are in the private matches as well. So.
Greenberg, you're talking about roles. The behind the scenes of how roles work is obviously each match should have a fairly random distribution per team of who has the highest MMR and who has the lowest MMR, but it essentially goes through the highest MMR player gets their preferred role first, and then it just goes down the line. So if you had 5 people who had all the same first prioritized role, only one would get it, and then it would do an assessment. Second player would get their second one, and so on and so forth, always attempting to prioritize the next highest role that has not already been taken.
Mm-hmm. Which, to extend on that a little bit further, and that starting tomorrow, ideally that should potentially, more so when the individual disparities, but it should start feeling a bit more fluid from match to match.
Random, as opposed to I'm always the last.
Exactly.
MMR, or, I mean, if you're sporting 1900, 2000 MMR, you're probably always going to get your preferred role, and that's okay. But if you're sporting a fairly, mid-range, lowish MMR, we hope that the scenario is you don't find yourself at the bottom in getting your least desired role.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think you've answered a good amount of questions here. Obviously, I know there's always more, but at the same time, we do still have a lot of work to do. So, what are we thinking? Maybe a couple more questions and then call it? I think that's a good idea. There was somebody that actually, Mark, maybe could answer, at least get a little more insight on, is Juvio specific as far as when will we be able to start creating content / custom games even on the Juvio side of things.
Yeah, this leans into that Steam question that we avoided for no intentional reason, so I might as well just bring it up now because I'm sure it'll make some people happy who love to hate on the fact that we won't be on Steam or have their own concerns because they want the best for the game, and I get that and I appreciate that for sure. But yeah, it's the Juvio platform, which for people who think it's maybe going to be something more than it actually is as it relates to it being an air quote platform, This isn't some. It is an unknown platform because it's never existed. But everything is nothing before it is known, and but it's not a platform that's trying to be anything more than, if people want to play HoN, they go to heroesofnewearth.com, they download uninstaller. It happens to be a Juvio installer, but it's just it's a small 20 meg file. They have to have a Juvio account, and they go to a page that is a layout, simple layout that asks for a few pieces of information, and they create an account. They load up that 20 meg file. They put in their credentials, it downloads the files, and it launches HoN. I mean, that is what it is. I know that's not necessarily the question, but I wanted to offer that for the people who are concerned, because I understand the unknown allows us to generate all these thoughts of what it may be, and we're not trying to compete with Steam. We're not trying to compete with Epic Store. We're not trying to compete with anything. We're not trying to create a launcher of something that you have to sit on your desktop or anything like that. If you want to play HoN, you click the HoN icon wherever it may reside, and HoN launches. When Juvio eventually becomes the thing that it is meant to become, yes, you as a HoN player could load up HoN, and then you will be able to click on a Juvio button or click a shortcut while you're in the HoN main menu and see other games that other players have created. That's the entire purpose of the platform. That being that not only will you have the tools in order to make these games in a very hobbyist, non-professional manner, meaning that this is not like licensing an engine or anything like that. It's simple scripting. AI prompts can help through a number of the. Anyways, I will get to answering the question. I know I just want to continue with this, help providing a vision for people in mind's eyes of what it will be. People can create, whatever it may be, Footman Frenzy, Tower Defense, an RTS, a different MOBA, whatever it may be. They can then monetize that, where they will receive a significant majority of the revenue. This is the business relationship between Congress Studios, the makers of Heroes of Newerth, and Juvio in and of itself. They are using the same exact system that will be in place for all of the hobbyist game creators. So then you'll be able to just load those games, play those games, and at no cost, and at no burden, those people will be able to make games. They won't have to host servers. They won't have to do anything. And then they can make money doing so. And because of this business model, and because we have significant data through firsthand experience of what it means to be on Steam, there's a lot of people who, again, I know they want the best for the game, and they want the game to have its widest reach, and they want it to be popular, and they think that the only potential avenue for that is to be on Steam, and that is not the case. There are tens of thousands of titles that prove that you can easily fail on Steam, and there are thousands of games that are successful that are not on Steam. Speaking to that, my hope would be that sometime mid next year, the required tools for people to put together a game on the Juvio platform and push that game out on the platform for other people to play would be sometime in the middle of next year. Long answer to get to it, but hopefully people listening have a better vision of what Juvio means and why it's important to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always good to provide that information and insight for people to take in. So I'm sure that helped plenty there. Get a better understanding. A couple more questions that I did see that, and then I think it'd be good for now. But one being ladders. There's been a couple of people asking about ladders coming in. That's something, down the line as far as like a whole ranking ladder, as far as seasons even for ranked play. This is all stuff that we definitely want to have on the table and on the docket eventually. I don't know if necessarily if anything, potentially later on in OBT for testing purposes too. But yes, that is on the docket of what we'd absolutely want to be a part of HoN and the ranked mode and etc. there. So, but not going to be a thing tomorrow though by any means, unfortunately. So, and then there's been multiple questions about just different modes, from the 3 versus 3 Grimm's Crossing maps, seems to be a popular one, to just like a turbo mode. again, I can give a kind of general answer, and then Roger, Malik, can feel free. But we definitely will be expanding more modes in the future, and I keep going back to with the current player base and with the initial player base that we'll have for OBT tomorrow. Really want to make sure these 2 modes in Force of Kaladivar as well as Mid Wars are the focus, and people are able to get their playtime on those. And then expanding with more modes in the future is absolutely something we want to do, but not just yet. So
Somebody made a point to say that it was dropped for Draco. You can just add Juvio to Steam, which obviously is a feature of Steam. I think maybe that's what we have to do, Breaky, is get that up on the website and put a video together that says Heroes of New Earth now on Steam. Click here, and it goes to a video that says, you know, go here, click add out of game library to Steam.
There you go.
Click Heroes of New Earth. Now it's in Steam.
No, but there's definitely some exciting modes, and you know, there's been things like Devo Wars has been brought up, Prophets, the old game mode. But honestly, I was looking a month ago or so through just a lot of different modes on old HoN and PK, and we definitely had a lot. Capture the Flag. I remember there's like a soccer mode we had.
Well, this is a lot of what Juvio is. Like, our Dota was birthed from custom maps and people creating their own experience out of Warcraft 3, and then you have HoN, and you have experiences in HoN like you're talking about, and so the question is ultimately these things are definitely coming. The question is, in what form do they come? Is an alternative mode to Heroes of New Earth specifically, or is it its own alternative, fun little mini game to play that's on Juvio? And somebody mentioned that, and I have no problem addressing it because I don't necessarily think the guy was being a troll, but he was basically saying that I said that we don't want to compete with Steam, but yet we're making something exactly like Steam. If anybody took away from what I said that we're making something exactly like Steam, I probably didn't do a good enough job explaining it so that you could see it in your mind's eye. Just a second.
Yeah. Somebody asked about why we're watching a 4 versus 5. I didn't even notice that, honestly, but I suppose I think the Legion team, they took advantage of their tools. Self-moderation, and they kicked one of their players. So there you go. As an example. He'll be back in a second, I believe. There was actually a good question here that asked. Again, we are going to be wrapping up, guys, very soon here. So I know, again, more and more questions. Obviously, we're active in the Discord. You know, do my best to answer questions over there as well. So feel free to continue to ask over there. Oh yeah, Anubis, you're bringing up about exploring the remake vote. That's something I can't say specifically we have very much in depth gotten into conversation about. But I mean, you're not wrong. Obviously, with removing the concede vote and having a kick feature and having potentially even a ready button coming sooner than later, the need for a remake is potentially less likely. There has been discussion as far as avenues for assisting games that maybe, you know, after they do start in a 5 vs 5, maybe somebody does get kicked or somebody goes AFK and just leaves. Rather than remaking, having potentially somebody be able to join that spot, just queue up in specifically for games that maybe are already in progress, and then they would fill that spot instead, and the game could keep going on. So again, I'm just bringing up a kind of a random, fairly crazy idea, I know, but it's just these are discussions that have certainly been had, and possibilities. It all goes back to that. You know, we're not afraid to necessarily, you know, try things like that. So, but again, nothing as far as that's being executed on, just discussions that have been had. So as far as remakes specifically, though, yeah, I can't say 100%, but I may just honestly not be as informed on that. So that's something I'll have to follow up on too. But why was a concede vote taken out? You can rewind back to the fairly about 10 minutes in maybe to this broadcast, and we talked about it for a good amount of time there. But concede vote has been removed. Well, yeah, Dem Dragons though, but again, that's why I said first off, this is just something that's to discuss. But second off, the limitation there would be you would purposely queue into that mode knowing that that is going to happen. It's not like you just queue up normally solo queue and all of a sudden you're thrown into game playing a Madman that has like 100 gold per minute 30 minutes into the game. Like obviously that would feel really shitty and a horrible experience and stuff like that we'd want to prevent, but the point is,
it should be it should be a choice by the player.
Exactly.
I love the concept, and technologically speaking, it is achievable. There's obviously a number of other things that are higher priority than this, but I love the concept. I think at some point you will see it in the game. And then one of the things that we can do in those situations is offer you queue specifically to say, I don't mind taking that slot, and for doing so maybe you get double the rewards or something to make it beneficial, and then makes that experience better for the 9 people that are in that match that unfortunately is down a player.
Exactly, yeah. All right, I know that, something came up. Did you want to finish what you were saying earlier, or?
Yeah, all I was I just was saying that I must have not done a good enough job of explaining what it is, because that would mean that the vision that is inside his head or anybody else who would have a similar thought process means that is not what we're trying to do. Juvio is an engine HoN is made in it. Juvio provides servers. HoN is being played on that. If Breaky were to make a tower defense, they would be played in the same engine, on the same set of servers, through the same architecture. If Breaky sold a different race inside of that tower defense, or some skins for the towers themselves, or some additional maps that aren't part of, say, the free-to-play, and he gets a lot of players who play his game and they buy those, then Breaky makes money from the players selling those without him having to provide all the infrastructure. Juvio, the only thing that Juvio shares with Steam is that it could potentially have, that it would have multiple different games on it. The biggest difference being that if you make a game on Steam, if say everyone is, for the people who believe that HoN should be on Steam, we have to provide the engine. We have to do all of the work and the infrastructure to make that game function, and we have to provide the servers themselves. With Juvio, that's not the case, and I would say that most of the games on Steam, I don't want to belittle anything that is going to eventually come out on the Juvio platform, but those are full-on games. That's how I think of them. These are games that absolutely can stand on their own. The games that will come out on Juvio, these are not ultra high production value. I'm not saying they couldn't be, but they're not ultra high production value games that can stand on their own and choose to be on whatever platform they want. They were scripted inside the Juvio engine, and they play inside the Juvio engine in the Juvio infrastructure. And any monetization they do is all through our APIs. And it's a totally different product, and it's meant to be a totally different product than Steam. So I don't know if I offered any additional clarity, if there was any lack of understanding, because I really want people to understand this, because my hope is, as a player, I want to log in to HoN, and I want to see Breaky's TD on there, and I want to see the dozens and hopefully hundreds of games that people come up with. And yeah, maybe a majority of them aren't very good, but there's going to be some gems that come out of it, just like Dota came out of Warcraft 3.
All right. One last one for me, because I do think it's important, and we hadn't addressed this yet, and I understand people are curious on it. A question about Project Congor. When will that be shut down, going down? We don't have information to release just yet on that. That is something that will be coming in the future here, as far as Project Congor and what the expectations are there. Again, as we've stressed for the longest time now, ultimately, Project Congor will be going down. It's just a matter of when it does. So, more information to come on that in the near future. Is HoNcast coming back? That's likely the plan, yeah. Good old esports side, competitive side of HoN. All right, I think that's a good place to wrap up, though. Want to give the chance, Malikan, anything else want to add before we do?
Nope. I think we covered a lot. It's about a 100-minute Q&A. I enjoyed myself. I appreciate the invite, Breaky. Thanks for everybody who showed up. And we'll continue to do things like this and look forward to tomorrow. Fingers crossed, all things go well.
Absolutely. Rajix, anything from you?
Not really, no. Like, as Malikan said, fingers crossed. Hopefully we get a lot of new players tomorrow that enjoy the game. And I hope everyone's excited as much as we are.
Open beta. Less than 24 hours away. Still can't believe I'm able to say that sentence, but made it. Still much more to come, but definitely a big step in this awesome journey that we've been on. Looking forward to it. Genuinely very excited for this and can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So we'll see you in New Earth. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, have a good night.
Good night.